Morning. It's morning coffee. I had an interesting morning this morning. I picked up my phone to see what time it was, and it was just a few minutes before 6. And I thought, well, I've got about 10 minutes more. I'm going to go back to sleep for 10 minutes. And then a text rolled through from my oldest son. Are you awake? I am. And then my phone rang. And we had an interesting conversation. He shared about a dream that he'd had, which was no dream. Dreams that you remember are no dreams. I encourage you to write them down. And he did. He wrote this dream down, and he shared the dream with me. And he's like, Mom, I have chicken skin. I call it spirit chills when you get the goosebumps and your hair is standing on end. And I said, well, son, this is because this is no dream. This is a message from the universe to you. And I don't think any of my children resonate in religion, much the same as me, but I believe that all but one of them resonate in there is something out there greater than us. What it is, we don't exactly label, but we all know there's something out there. I have one child who's atheist, and I absolutely adore and respect that. Until you can prove to me there is something out there, I don't buy into it. And I'm perfectly comfortable in that as well for him. But given that I do believe that there is something greater, there's a greater force out there, there is greater, there are energies moving us, and I personally will label it source, universe. If I'm talking to a religious person, I'll call it God. It doesn't offend my senses. So I'm speaking to my son, and I said, the universe is speaking to you. Source has a message. And that's what you got. And as we talked more, it became very clear that what he received was a very prophetic message. One that he has friends who've received it. I've received it. I have friends who've received it. There is something big coming at all of us. And what it is change. The energies are changing. We are shifting. We are shifting. And this shift is huge. I've talked about it before. It's a paradigm shift. It's not as, what is the word I want to use? It's not as dramatic as World War III kind of thing. Although certainly there is stuff still abreast. And those of you who are in the know are aware, and those of you who follow the Russian incursion into Ukraine are aware that thing is still brewing, and the United States is still flexing its muscles, and there are elephant parades and air brigades and things like that are happening all the time. Being a child of the Air Force, an Air Force brat, I am aware when I see the Air Force flexing its muscles. It is not because they just need to dust off the wings of those planes. That is this nation flexing its muscles and telling other nations, we're still over here, just so you know, just so you know. This is what we're willing to show you that we have. Just so you know. And some of us have let this thing with Ukraine and Russia kind of, but my point is not that we're dealing with that or that we ever will, prayerfully not. But the point is there is huge change coming in. We are in a paradigm shift. And that paradigm shift that I've talked about before is in the mind and the souls of all of us as humanity. Are we going to continue to accept? Zephyr says no. Are we going to continue to accept things that should not be? Or are we going to take up arms against what is wrong? Are we going to be love? Are we going to be the voice of unity? Are we going to stand up and say, I am a part of change? The paradigm shifters, today, if we look around, it's those people who are willing to say, it's not okay to ostracize people for being different, for choosing to love in a different way. Our LGBTQIA community, they're choosing to love in a different way. Yes, I hear you when those of you who say, well, some people are taking this too far, and now we want to say that I identify as a table or a dog or this, or there are extremes, and there will always be these things. And I think that even in the LGBTQIA community, there are people who are like, okay, in the name of our cause, this, great. But let's stop sitting, let's stop labeling the whole cause based on the fringe anomalies. People did that when women tried to gain equality. People did that when folks of color tried to gain equality. You went after the anomalies and said, see, this is a problem. No, it's not a problem. The problem is that you want to focus on the anomaly instead of the people, the mass amount of people to be loved who are just different than you. They're just different than you. They're still wonderful, beautiful, absolutely gorgeous human beings. Paradigm shifters. I freaking love them. Courageous paradigm shifters. Sending a message to you, asking you, do you love others just because they're different than you? Can you love them? No, don't give up who you are. Don't change what you believe, but love other people anyway. And this is the change that's coming. Can we shift out of lack of love? Can we shift out of, I will meet your energy. You want to be low vibe? I'll be low vibe. Can we shift out of that woke mentality into a mentality of being awakened, enlightened, loving beings who don't meet energy for energy, but instead rise above it and say, I see you in your space of fear. I see you in your space of pain, because hurt people hurt other people, as the cliche goes. Can you rise above that? Can you be the change this morning? My son's dream was a wake-up call. It was a wake-up call that I am compelled to share with the rest of you listening to this today.